How does training affect employee retention? I mean, honestly, we really want to keep good team members around. By the end of this video, you're going to hear a real life story about a hard to believe business. You're going to roll your eyes at this and how much time and money they place into training and what that does for their employee retention. Are you building a team of one-hit wonders, or are you building a legendary rock band? Is your company's welcome mat starting to look a little bit more like a departure gate at this point? We have got an ethos culturally right now, and we're post-pandemic and all of this stuff, and the Great Recession, and everybody wanting to leave, and we say nobody wants to work. Well, the reality is they really do want to work, but what we found with team members and employees, what they want, even more than money, time off, remote flexibility, any of those things, is they want clarity above everything else. We've talked to plenty of employees in our day because they'll come find us. We work with a lot of business owners, and so they'll come find us off to the side of maybe a speaking engagement or something and go, God, what you said was so true. I wish my boss was here to hear it. We hear that all the time. Well, what do they wish you were here to hear? What they wish you would have heard is when we said, no, people do want to work, and they'll actually stay at a place longer for less money if they've got clarity than they would for more money if they live in chaos. Employees don't want chaos. Now, there's something that's happening today that did not happen in the 1900s. In the 1900s, you kind of had to take a job. In the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and you really didn't have a lot of options. So you either took the job or you just didn't make money at that point. Well, now in our modern economy, people have options. They can go get a gig and make some cash on the side. And so they don't have to take your chaotic employment. They can go to other areas and they can actually make money while they find the clarity that they're looking for. So we say nobody wants to work anymore. Is it that, or is it that they just don't want to work in your chaos? We've got a phrase that we say all the time, and it says life and work necessarily intersect. Listen, we're not robots. What happens at work, it's going to affect us at home. And what happens at home, it's going to follow us to work some. These two things intersect, and so what we want to do is we want to create environments and businesses that value repetition, predictability, and meaning. And how we do that is we build elements on the four core foundations of every business: purpose, people, process, and profit. As business owners, you kind of have this feeling like nobody knows what it's like to run this business, to wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats thinking about the P&L or cash flow or all of these other things that we have to do. The reality is you don't just have a responsibility to the bottom line or the fiscal side of the business, but you equally have a responsibility to the cultural side, the people side of the business, to make this, if you're going to delegate. Now, if you're going to do it and be a one-hit wonder, do it all yourself, then you can wake up in the middle of the night and nobody's going to understand what you're doing, and you don't have to worry about creating clarity, except for your customer. But that's a whole nother video that we can talk about at some time. What I want you to understand is you're not only responsible for the things that people don't see, but you're also responsible as the business owner for the environment and the culture that is set, the table that is set for your people to come sit around and bring their full-time best effort into the vision that you've provided. So I want to tell you a most peculiar story. This has taken place in the eastern part of Tennessee and western Virginia, and it's still going today. There's a little outfit, a little over 30 locations, called Pal's Sudden Service, P-A-L-S. And if you're from that area, you'll know exactly where I'm going with this, but if you're not, I challenge you to look it up at some point, Pal's Sudden Service. They sell hot dogs, hamburgers, fries, and shakes. It's a pretty simple little outfit. They've been going for a few decades, and yet they still only have about 30 to 31 locations. Now, here's what is interesting about Pal's. They've got about 1,100 team members. The majority of those team members are part-time, and the overwhelming majority of those team members are dealing with things like losing girlfriends and boyfriends and acne. They're teenagers at this point. Can you imagine having a workforce where 70 to 80% of your workforce are teenagers or part-time? No, thank you. I do not want to sign up for that. But I want you to listen to Pal's story. Why do I bring them up? They got awarded the Quality Award from the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award from the U.S. Department of Commerce a couple of decades ago, and they were actually written up in the Harvard Business Review. That's right, Pal's Sudden Service, written up in the Harvard Business Review. This award is usually given to like Ritz-Carlton and FedEx and Cadillac, but this little hee-haw shop in eastern Tennessee and western Virginia that sells hamburgers and hot dogs won this award and got written up. Why? It's because of the culture that they've created for employee retention. Listen to this. The average assistant store manager at Pal's Sudden Service, the retention rate is about 1.2%. Now, if you combine that to a Taco Bell or one of these turnover fast food shops, what you'll find is their turnover is so high that if you go today and order a taco and come back in 4 months, you will have a completely different staff turned over in 4 months. It's unbelievable. Again, I don't want any part of that. Pal's Sudden Service has done it entirely different. Why? It's because even for a part-time 17-year-old, that 17-year-old must go through 150 hours of training before they can sell a hot dog by themselves. And then every single month, they go to 2 to 3 pop-up quizzes. So they show up for work, they're like, Hannah, it's your turn for a pop-up quiz for the shake machine. Now, if Hannah fails the shake machine, Hannah is not allowed to make shakes until she restudies and goes back and takes the shake test. That's at Pal's Sudden Service of all places. Now, if you go to McDonald's or something like that, they'll make a mistake in 1 out of every about 6 to 7 or 8 orders. Pal's Sudden Service makes a mistake through their drive-thru 1 out of every 3,600 orders. It takes about 12 seconds to place your order. It takes about 18 seconds to pick up your order. And yet, their quality control is remarkable. Their hamburgers, pretty good. Hot dogs, decent. Fries, not bad. The shakes are shakes, right? But the experience is what they're selling, and they're keeping these team members in an amazing way. It was told to me one time that Pal's Sudden Service corporate office has 3 people in it. Everybody else is out at the store locations, and they said even if you go by the office, you'll rarely find those 3 people there because they're always out training. Training, training, training. So in the Harvard Business Review, it was asked of Tom Crosby, CEO, hey, what if you spend all this time and money training and these people are going to leave? Most of them will leave. They're teenage part-timers. And his response was simply, at the end of the article, what if we don't spend it and they stay? So I could see you as a business owner coming to me as a coach and advisor and going, what if I spend all this money and I end up creating a competitor? We hear that in the contractor space all the time. I'm going to raise up the superintendent and then she's going to go start her own home building company. Yeah, she might. In fact, statistically, that's what you did at some point. And so if you're threatened by that, then this may not be a good strategy for you. But if you see that as an opportunity to grow and develop and realize that you're starting somebody else on their own experience, and at the same time you will continue to grow yours, I will make this promise to you. If you will commit to training and development, yes, you will lose some people to go start their own thing. But the culture you will have created will continue to thrive and grow even when you lose people. By the way, that's how agriculture works. A seed must fall and die, and it will grow into new life. And so I want you to start thinking about your business like that. The potential that, yes, you might lose somebody to that. But the reality is you've created a culture of training and development for these people. What if I spend all this time and money and they leave? What if you don't and they stay for 30 years? So you want to know the silver bullet that creates longevity among the team that you've worked so hard to find? It's not just training, but it's training with clarity. How do you find the clarity? The RPMs of great leadership. Repetition, predictability, and meaning. If you can rope that in, repetition, do it again, do it again, do it again. It's like a good football coach or a basketball coach or a lacrosse coach. Do it again, do it again. I recently heard this actually last week. There is a particular college football team at the time of their season that is really, really struggling in the midst of their season. Historically, they have been a perennial powerhouse. They've won national championships. But this particular year, they have struggled and struggled. And there is a highly talented top 5 defensive end on that team, and he is getting crushed every practice by his coaches. And he came to his coaches and he says, Coach, you guys are killing me. Like, you guys are killing me. Why can't I get this thing figured out? And the coach said, you got nothing to worry about, man. He said, as long as we're coaching you hard, it means you've got a spot on the team. What you need to be concerned about is the moment we stop coaching you. If you want to lean into your team and really watch them grow, lean into training and development. Let them know when I'm encouraging to you and when I'm hard on you, I'm trying to grow you. At the moment that I stopped, that's when you need to be worried. Hey, a lot of this can be mitigated and set up at the new employee stage. So I want you to click on this other video. This is super important to go and watch how to set up a training program and onboard a new employee. So go ahead and click that now. My name's Scott Beebe. I'm so delighted to be with you. We work with business owners between 3 and 100 employees to build their purpose, people, process, and profit so that you can be liberated from chaos to make time for what matters most.